guys missed me. But since I was gone, some good stuff happened. The Heat went bye-bye.
The Rangers went bye-bye.
The Canes are back at Christmas now for the Candy Canes. The NBA season's done. And I'm back. But this is Sideline Sports. Enough about me, JB Ellis. Big Malik and good old Jon Shearer here. As I love giving him some stuff as we start the program. Good to be back, fellas. Glad to see everybody. Everyone still looks the same. John's got his goatee going. Things look normal in the world.
Things feel good, man.
What's going on, guys? How's everyone doing tonight?
I'm having myself a night. I mean, I'll start the conversation in a minute, but as a Rangers fan, we're having a good night over here in these parts.
Yeah, the Avalanche are doing pretty well, I would say.
John, things are going very right for us, so I'm enjoying it. John, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. The Orioles actually have been playing pretty good baseball. I believe they're 24 and 24 in their last 48, but they've been playing pretty good baseball for a team that only has $29 million payroll.
John, being 24 and 24 in your last 48 games for the Orioles truly actually is an accomplishment.
Well, I mean, when Garrett
Cole sincerely.
When Garrett Cole makes more than your entire team does, there's players that make more than your entire roster. It's expected that you're not going to be exactly.
That's a little bit.
That makes you happy.
No, I mean when you have a $29 million payroll and you can, the Orioles not to go on about the
Sideline Sports budget is almost equal to the Orioles. You realize the Sideline Sports budget is closer to the Orioles than the Yankees budget. Let's keep that in mind.
The Orioles have competed with every team.
And I think that's the next commercial for Sideline Sports.
Our budget's bigger than the Orioles.
Yes, but keep that in mind. Keep in mind that our budget is closer to the Oriole budget.
I think that's more of an indictment on the Orioles than it is on anybody else.
I think it's an indictment on MLB. They need a salary cap.
Oh, well.
Just saying.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I don't think, at least in my opinion, even with the salary cap that would affect the Orioles because they'd still be spending
Well, you have to spend a certain amount for a salary cap.
No, but what I'm saying is I think you guys would hit that number and you'd be okay, but you'd just be right above it. Like if this is the floor, you'll be just scraping the top of it, just right above it.
Speaking of the AL East, let's talk about the Yankees. JB wanted to talk a little bit about the Yankees.
Let's start with that. Tonight's going to be, I'm going to say it now.
Let's talk about the dominance in the AL East.
Hold on. Tonight's going to be a good night for me. Everything is going right in that regard. Like, sports-wise, things are good for me right now. I'm happy. This is going to be a good night.
But let's talk about the fourth best team to ever get to 50 wins. And to be honest,
in terms of start, you
guys, I was not expecting this. I wasn't expecting them to come out and be killers. I don't think that this roster was, anywhere near that. I was worried about Toronto. How many games back is Toronto?
Last time I checked, which was over the weekend.
They're like an afterthought.
When I looked this weekend, it was 12 games, I think.
12.
And they're a good team. Toronto is. It's not like they're bad. No,
Boston played themselves.
Yeah, well.
No, but that just shows how dominant the Yankees are. 50 and 17.
No, I agree.
That's a 746 win percentage.
I mean,
the best record
to have
in
that kind of
baseball by far.
To have that kind of record through 50 games is just, that's insanity for any team.
I mean, it's funny you guys say that. So I was, this weekend was Father's Day. So first of all, to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day, everybody. Obviously, that is also to you, John. And also, again, John, happy belated birthday. I know I wished you happy birthday as well as JB and all the guys. We all wish you happy birthday, but John's birthday is on Father's Day.
I'm 32 going on 57 physically.
So, but anyway, so I was, watching the game with my dad, just hanging out, big Yankees fans in our house. And we were talking about it. And I looked this up, and this is what I found really funny. It was just, I got a laugh out of it. So I took the AL Central as my example. Now, the AL Central is not good, but it works for this example, which is the Twins, who are in first place, are 38 and 30. Again, not a good division. No, none of the teams are good, but again, for the example, it'll work. And the lowest team in that division are the Royals at 24-42. They have a 13 game. The Royals are 13 games back, though, of the first place team. In the AL East, the Yankees are so good that the Blue Jays, who are 38-29, a respectable record as well, not anything to, in second place, good, all well. They are 12 games back of the first place Yankees. So the reason I say that is it is unbelievable how good they've been, because what is in one division, the difference between first and last, is in our division, the difference between first and second place. Unbelievable.
GB, talk about your Yankees.
It's pretty special to watch. I mean, Judge is having a monster year. Stanton is.
So he's due for an injury.
It's Stanton.
Hey,
that's the problem with these guys. Stanton and Judge. No, you don't know if he can stay healthy. It's tough to watch.
It's coming with Darren Judge. It's coming eventually.
Well, you know what? Here's the way I see it. This team gets injured so often, but the way they're playing this year, they haven't gotten injured yet. Now, that doesn't mean they won't. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they've gotten off to such a hot start that they could easily weather a couple injuries here and there because they've set themselves up to just cruise to the playoffs. At this point, if they're just even average in the second half of the season, they've already clinched a playoff spot basically with the way they played in this first half.
Also an injury depends on what the injury is and how long it is. You know what I mean? Like if Aaron Judge gets hurt in September, you know what I mean? Like that's a big injury because playoffs are right around the corner. If he gets injured now, it's different.
No,
John, listen, right now there's 67 games in, right? And they have 50 wins. If they play 500 baseball over the next 80 games, they will have 90 wins with still games to play.
Right.
So they're not making the playoffs.
I didn't say they weren't. No, I just said the injury is coming eventually.
No, you're right.
It's like Chris Paul. It always does.
My point was that we've played so well that during the regular season, usually injuries are of concern because it doesn't come when we're playing this well. We're playing good baseball where maybe we have, at this point, close to 40 wins. We're talking like high 30s, maybe 40 wins, right? Instead, we're already at 50 wins. We've set ourselves up so well that, yes, injuries are likely to happen. That just happens. But when they do happen, and hopefully they are, not in September, I agree. But, when they happen, we can weather the storm pretty easily because, A, we have depth, which is just one thing.
Do you think you're overachieving at all?
No.
You guys talked about the pitch and rotation at the beginning of the year. You were concerned.
I was never concerned. All right, so hold on. Let me answer the first question. Do I think we're overachieving? No. And the reason I say no is because to me, this is what this team looks like when they're healthy. We haven't, and I say that because look at the last couple seasons with, when you've had Stanton and Judge and LeMahieu, right? You haven't really had all these guys healthy. And then you had a Donaldson who, even though he's a strikeout machine, and so is Joey Gallo, they're still contributing when they need to. And even with Aaron Hicks not playing well, he's still contributing. He's starting to heat up, right? So you basically have Stanton, LeMahieu when he plays, Judge, Rizzo, and sometimes Torres again when he plays. So you have 4 to 5 guys depending on who's playing, right? This is what this team can be, and they're finally showing it because they're all playing. But in the last couple of years, we didn't have that. So to summarize, do I think we're overachieving? No, we're just having all our guys healthy together. And then the pitching rotation, again, it's not even fully healthy, which is the crazy part. Domingo Germán, who I don't know what's going to happen when he comes back from his suspension. I've heard rumors that he may go to the bullpen, and I'd totally be okay with that because, the way things are working, things are really looking good. I mean, top to bottom, that rotation has played really, really well. And Chapman is out, and I don't miss him right now because he's become such a liability. I prefer somebody like Chad Green probably being our closer at this point with the way he plays. That's just my opinion. Again, Germán could totally be a closer if they went down that road. But yeah, I'm happy with this rotation. I do think they are the ones that are overachieving. But the offense, which is a lot of why we've won, is not overachieving. I think it's finally hitting the groove
at,
that we expected to see for so many years.
Look at run differential. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, they are, I think it's 140 something runs.
Unbelievable.
Plus 140. They're better than some divisions. And I'm not even talking about taking teams that are negative in the division. Just stay with the numbers that are positive. Multiple teams, they're better than.
Right.
You know, you could go across Major League Baseball. You have to take 2 or 3 first place teams to get to where they are. The Yankees are at 145, right? If you go,
but there's no way they keep that up with that pitching. There's no way that pitching staff.
The Mets, Houston, and Minnesota don't even match that. They're just above that. You know, it's insane. The only other team above 100 are the Dodgers at 114.
Right.
I mean, so,
and John, here's the thing about this this pitching rotation. There, to me, are probably there's 2 guys that I would call elite level. Like when I say that, I trust them to pitch consistently well throughout the entire season. And for me, those were the guys going into the season were Garrett Cole, and assuming that he's healthy, he gets back to form, which he is starting to. Luis Severino. Those are 2 guys. One is Cy Young. Both have been up for the Cy Young. They're great pitchers. That was never a question. I thought those guys would be good. The guys I felt that could be really good were Tyone and Montgomery. Those are both pitchers that have played really well this season. I think Tyone is finally pitching at what we hoped he'd pitch at. He's pitching a little better maybe, but we figured he'd be about an average of a 3.0 to 3.2 ERA, probably. I think that was kind of the expectation. His ERA is a 2.7, so he's maybe a little bit above what we expected in expectations, but again, pitching well. And then Montgomery, kind of the same vein. I figured he'd be around that same spot, and he's at the same spot as Montgomery. He's at a 2.7 too. So, pitching very well. Nestor Cortez, for me, is the big standout. And I
really hate that mustache.
Oh, don't you dare
it's
talk bad about it. It's
the worst mustache I think I've ever seen.
I'm going to go with John on this one. It's not pretty.
I love the look, but I will tell you this. George Steinbrenner is rolling over in his grave right now looking at that because he was Mr. You are clean shaven or you don't play for a short hair, clean shaven. That's the end of this.
You sound like what he would sound like.
Absolutely. But anyway, back to Cortez real quick. When your 4 pitcher has your best ERA, he's a 1.94. And to me, that is just unbelievable. He's pitched so much better. But the thing is, even if his ERA jumped to a high 2, you still have these guys all pitching really well. I think they've just really something's clicking this year, and I don't know what it is, but I'm loving it. And the offense is there. There's no question. The offense is really clicking. Things have gone basically perfect if you're the Yankees.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's scary because, like I said,
I meant that's almost like too good to be true. It sounds like
it does.
Listen, I still don't think they're going to win the World Series. They're not made for postseason baseball. I said that before the season. I'm going to say that now. With having 50 wins, the 4th best record to 50 wins ever, I still don't think we're winning the World Series. I don't think we have a true ace. I don't see it. Garrett, whatever his name is, Schmoll, Spider Tack,
Garrett Mole.
I'm not going to wear the Houston Astros cap when the World Series is over that we lost because he's a loser. But that's besides the point. And I can see, John, this is something you need to take into your game. Talking bad about guys on your team, it'll elevate you to the next level.
Yeah, I need to just dump on my own team.
It'll elevate you to the next level.
You know what, John? When it's the truth, you cannot avoid it.
So you're saying he's right?
No, but if that's what he believes to be the truth, then you have to say.
So it's not the truth. If just because he believes to be the truth doesn't mean
that's JB's truth. I disagree.
It's in my opinion the truth, and I'll stand by it.
That's what I mean.
Listen,
that's just your opinion. That's not the.
And that doesn't mean that.
What I'm saying when I say it's the truth, when you believe something to be true, even if it's bad about your team, you've got to face the facts.
So JB just lives in his own little world, is what you're saying.
So do you, John. What's your point?
The Houston when the Astros got bounced, and Garrett Cole wouldn't wear the Astros hat in the locker room, and he did the press conference in that crazy hat. That's facts. We all saw that.
Right.
So he's not a team player. He pitched horribly after the whole change that you couldn't use the spider tack.
A lot of pitchers did.
Yes, but
but it was really noticeable with a guy like him because he was.
Well, yeah, because of his salary. Yeah.
So right, exactly. He's paid so much, and so much is expected of him.
So I mean, even though it's my opinion of him, he may be the nicest guy in the world. I've never met Garrett Cole, and maybe one day I'll have the opportunity to sit down and interview him, and maybe my opinion of him as a person will change. But as a guy to lead my team, I don't want him. There are many other guys out there I would take.
He's not a winner, is what you're saying.
Think for me,
I don't know.
If I had to pick any pitcher to lead my team right now, I don't care how old he is. Justin Verlander is my choice 100 times out of 100. Man's just look. You can say, oh, well, all those years in Detroit, I don't want to hear it.
I'm going to take the guy I hate most. There's somebody I hate worse than Garrett Cole.
And that
Matt Scherzer. Matt Scherzer. He is the most annoying guy out there, but he has the heart. He has the heart of a champion.
They both do, and that's
he reminds me of Tom Brady on the mound. Like he is such a competitor.
I would say truly, Scherzer and Verlander are in a league of their own, and then there's basically everybody else. I think
that's fair.
And you may choose one over the other, and there's nothing wrong with picking either of them. But they are so. They've been playing so long and so purely just dominant on the mound.
You know what's ironic?
For so many years.
They started out on the Tigers together.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Yes, they did.
It's John. It's like the old Oklahoma City Thunder when you had James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook. It's the same thing. All these great players,
we're talking
and
about winners, I don't necessarily associate winning with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, or Kevin Durant.
But that's not what I'm. But what I am saying is elite talent together at the same time, and it doesn't produce winning, which is the point. So it's funny you say that because you're right. You're absolutely right that they were, and it reminds me of that. But speaking of winners, I think we got to talk about this because we kind of started to open the show with it. And I am very happy because there's some NHL awards to announce. And, John, last year you were very upset. Your goalie didn't win the Vezina.
2 years in a row I'm upset.
But you know what, John? You know who's not upset? This guy right here. Because his goalie, who rightfully earned it, and I think that's something we would all truly agree on, won the Vezina. Igor Shesterkin is your 2022 Vezina Trophy winner as the best goalie. He was unbelievable. And I got to tell you, now I know let me rephrase that. I know they're not supposed to. And I don't know what the voters, I mean, they can't, but they shouldn't. They probably don't. But if you had to include the postseason, I think it's all the more reason to pick Shesterkin. Now, obviously, you're not allowed to pick postseason doesn't count. I understand it. And that's fine. It's regular season. But Shesterkin truly was one of the best goalies in the league. And you would have had a chance at the Vezina, John, but injuries. That is the only reason.
Yeah, Anderson got hurt and didn't get to finish out the season.
Right. And I think if he played the rest of the season, he might have been up there and had a chance. But injuries happen, and that's the only reason he doesn't get that chance.
Yeah.
But I gotta be honest with you. At least for me, and this is not just because I'm a Rangers fan. I'm very honest about my team. As you guys saw, I was very honest in not picking them for the Stanley Cup Finals or even in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's fine. But I was very humble.
Tampa played very good at the end, and I give Jake a lot of credit because a lot of times it's just easy to go with your team. I'm not a Ranger fan, and I went with momentum. They had something. They had heart. Listen, they played a hell of a series.
Yeah.
I'm actually. I enjoyed watching them. I look forward to next year. I'm an Islander fan. I want to see a good rivalry.
So you should hate the Rangers.
Yeah, but hold on. All right, back to that real quick. Hold on. Back to that real quick. My point was, I can be very honest about my teams, and it sometimes hurts. This is one of those times where I was very honest, but there was no question Igor Shesterkin was the Vezina Trophy winner. He was the best goalie, in my opinion, for so many. He was just unbelievable all year. And he carried this team. And I'm the first to admit it. It was a good team, but you put almost any other goalie, and they don't even come close.
They don't beat the Penguins.
Right. They don't even come close to being as good as they were in the regular season, which is obviously what the Vezina is about. I couldn't be more proud. Darryl Sutter just won Coach of the Year. Jack Adams. But he does deserve it, and I'll tell you why. Because he took terrible Flames team, and he made them really good. The emergence of Jacob Markstrom playing, at the Vezina Trophy finalist level as well. He was also a great finalist who deserved to be up there. You may not like it, but it made sense to me at least, just because of the, you could have gone. I could have said similar things about Gerard Gallant. He was up in the,
You probably would have went Panthers, yeah.
But I'm saying Rangers head coach Gerard Gallant is up there as well.
How did the Panthers not get? I mean, they won their coach won the President's Trophy.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's because the Panthers they weren't great.
Nobody expected them to be the best team in the league.
No, but they were. You knew they'd be a playoff team. But my thing is this: you knew in 2020, going into 2021, that they, or rather going to 2022, that they would be a playoff team again. So the logic is this, in my opinion, that they're probably using, right? You have the Flames, who were terrible last year, to the Flames now, who really improved. Phenomenal team this year. Versus the Panthers, who were good last year, to the best team this year. But last year, they were still good. So the improvement was different, if that makes sense.
It's just hard for me not to pick the Panthers.
No, I get it.
They had the best record in the league, and best record by a mile.
I'm not advocating for one way or the other. I'm just saying that's my guess as to what they're thinking, which is a non-playoff team became a playoff team, which usually sways coaches or voters.
And they not only became a playoff team; they were actually a pretty good playoff team.
Right. Exactly. That's kind of the point. That's my thought process on what they did. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just my guess as to what happened.
That's okay. You said logic, and then NHL and logic don't really go together.
You're very right about that.
So
you're very right about that. And speaking of the NHL, I don't want to go through all the awards. We don't need to. It's going to
the important ones. Who won MVP?
Austin Matthews.
Of course, well deserved. 60-goal season, of course.
And again, does the team do anything in the playoffs? No, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the regular season, and he was very deserving of it. Cale Makar won the Norris for the best defense. I don't think that was
didn't deserve it.
Why? Who deserved it?
I mean, the best defenseman is ours. He deserved it.
I disagree. I think Victor Hedman was better than anybody, but that's fine. But anyway, doesn't matter. I'm just listing some of them. But anyway, not the point. I agree with you mostly. Most importantly about MVP. That was, in my opinion, never a question.
There's no way you can pick against a guy that had 60 goals.
You have 60 goals. That's just unbelievable.
It's been a long I think Alex Ovechkin was the last time we had a 60 goal.
Probably.
And that was a long time ago.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals because, JB, I don't think we ever got your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Final because you were not here. But, John, what was your pick? I don't recall. I know I picked Lightning in 6.
I picked Avalanche in 6.
Okay. So, John, talk to me because so far you're on the winning side, if you will. Your outcome is the most likely based on everything we've seen.
What happened in Game 3 is exactly what I thought would happen at some point in this series to the Avalanche. The goaltending, it wasn't going to hold up forever. Darcy Kemper was eventually going to crack. And it makes sense. It happened on the road. Tampa Bay's at home. Their back's against the wall. If they lose that game, it's the game. That's when it's completely over.
Right.
So that I thought that eventually Kemper would crack and Tampa Bay would get back in it. I think Tampa Bay wins Game 4, and then I think the Avalanche just roll in Game 5 and then carry it, kind of like the Golden State Warriors did, carry that momentum into Game 6 and finish it off.
We will talk about that shortly.
I mean, this is going to be scary. I'm going to agree with John. I think he was spot on. I think that the Avalanche took care of home ice. The Lightning, backs against the wall, played a great game. They destroyed them last night. And, I think that Game 4 will be a lot closer than it was. And, I think Tampa Bay is going to pull it out. And then I think, the Avalanche win 5 and 6, and that'll be it. But, it'll be a good series.
For me, I think Game 4 is going to decide the series. And it's not just about who wins it. For me, it's going to be the play that we see in Game 4. And the reason I say all this is because one simple thing. The Avalanche played 2 great games at home where they just absolutely had their way. The Lightning finally adjusted in game 2, reminiscent of the Rangers series so far. And again, this is not to make it back to my team, but it's the most recent series they played. And it's the exact same scenario. So this is why, to me, game 4 is going to be so pivotal. Same thing in the Rangers series. Rangers win 2 good games at home. Things look great. Everything's rolling their way. They go into Tampa, and things just go haywire.
But no offense to your Rangers.
No.
They're not on the level that the Avalanche are.
But the basic concepts of the game are the same, which is this.
Right.
Game 4 is going to be very crucial because I need to see something out of Tampa if they have any chance in this series. I don't care whether they win or lose. That's not what I'm worried about. I need to see if they, A, can continue making the adjustments that they were making in Game 3 and why they were able to dominate so well. B, how do the Avalanche respond? Because in the Rangers series, the Rangers, again, this is where I'm honest about my team, they responded horribly. They were terrible. The Lightning played the way they wanted to, and the Rangers had absolutely no way of figuring them out. So my thing is this. Even if the Avalanche lose this game, that's not what I'm worried about. It's about how they can adjust. Because Andrei Vasilevsky was a brick wall last game. Now, I understand he let up 2 goals, but he made some phenomenal saves, and he was basically unstoppable for most of that game. And the thing is going to be, can the Avalanche adjust, not to win, but to make the plays they want, to get their style of play down, and even if they lose the game, can they establish their play? Because if they can establish their play, they have a chance. But if they can't establish their play, I am sticking with the Lightning to win it, because if the Lightning get their heels dug in, they win again at home, and they establish their play, the Avs can kiss their series goodbye.
I disagree. I completely disagree. Because you still have Game 5 in your pocket.
That's
You're the
fine.
Avs.
That's
and then
fine.
You still have a Game 7 if it goes to that at home in your pocket.
My concern is this. If the Avs can't adjust, they will be in trouble. Because the Lightning, you cannot give them momentum. They are the back-to-back defending champs for a reason. And this is the hardest team they faced of their 3 straight years.
Yep.
No question, it's not even close. But what I saw in Game 3 was much better. They looked great.
Of course, but they had to have that, Jake. Like, if that doesn't happen, the series is over.
Hold on. Let me finish. But my point is, they played great defense. They made crisp passes. Colorado couldn't catch up to them, couldn't figure them out. That's why Game 4 is so pivotal. Because if Tampa continues to do this, they're going to establish their game against Colorado, and Colorado's going to be in trouble, especially with the bad goalie. But if Colorado, even so much as plays, can play well, even if they lose, but they can establish their game a little bit more on the road, I give all the momentum to them despite what happens on the final score. That's my point.
JB, do you buy into the notion that it carries over game to game like that, or no?
So with my thinking, especially in a playoff series, momentum is huge, especially with travel. You're up 2-0. You have to come out and show something when you didn't show something in Game 3. If you come out flat 2 games in a row on the road, you lost the series. It's not going to happen where you just are flat and you come back and win. It doesn't work that way.
And real back-to-back games. To your point, to that, because I don't know if, John, you're thinking this, so I want to nip it in the bud. Here's the thing about that. In Game 1, the Lightning did look good. They were able to get on the board. They played well. It was an overtime game. It was an impressive game. Game 2 was really bad. Game 3, they looked great again. I admit the Avalanche looked better in Games 1 and 2, especially Game 2, but they were the better team in Game 1. But at least the Lightning showed me something in Game 1. So my thing has got to be, can the Lightning show me something again at home? Because the way the series has gone, Lightning looked solid in Game 1 on the road. They looked terrible in Game 2 on the road. The Lightning looked great at home in Game 3. Avalanche looked terrible in Game 3 on the road. So the Avalanche need to prove that they can play on the road. That's my thing. Because at least for the Lightning, despite losing Game 2 badly, at least Game 1, they proved they could play against this team and keep up with them on the road. I need to see that the Avalanche can do the same thing on the road. That's my main concern here. If the Avalanche, again, it's not about winning. It's about how they play. If it's kind of like game 1 where they keep up with the Lightning, and even if they lose, they've shown me enough that I can feel confident. That's important to me.
The only team that it's a must-win for in game 4 are the Lightning.
Right.
But, for Colorado, if they show up flat again, that's it. They're done. You're not going to play 2 flat games in a row in the Stanley Cup Finals and expect to have a shot to win. You have to come out. You have to show something. It's put up or shut up. You want to get the cup, you got to play.
Right. And look, I'm not saying the Avs can't, because the Avs are a great team and actually throughout these playoffs have been an incredible road team. So if anything, I actually expect them to come out and play well. And I am going to be very, very honest and candid about this, that I actually expect the Avs to win the series now. With what I've seen from them, I think they're winning the series, but they do need to show me something in game 4, because if they can't win on the road, it's going to be a problem, because the Lightning will find a way to win on the road. That's what they do.
Something we did not mention is, the guy that's leading the NHL in goals this playoffs did not play game 3.
This is true.
The Avs. Nobody talked about that.
That's fair.
When you lose a guy like that for a road playoff game in a Stanley Cup, that's a big loss. So we'll see if he can come back game 4. That would be a huge addition, because you don't want to lose a guy that's produced as well as that.
But here's the other thing, to your point about injuries, Tampa looks like Braden Point is coming back. It wasn't last game, but it looks like game 4 is a real possibility, if not game 5, which is the other thing why I need to see something from Colorado, because yes, they're leading the series, but Tampa can storm back like nobody's business.
Pardon the pun.
Right. They are very, very good.
And I don't think, unless you really watch hockey, I don't think people understand how important Braden Point is to that team.
Oh, he's huge.
He is huge to that team. He may not be the highest point scorer, may not be a guy like that, but he is huge to what they do offensively. So that would be a gigantic addition. But I think Colorado's loss is bigger. But I hope that he comes back for Colorado's sake, because with him, I just don't think Tampa Bay can beat him. But without him, depending on how long he's out, Tampa Bay has a real shot at catching them game to game. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. But I think the other thing is, if you get Braden Point back, even if Colorado gets their guy, everything's going well, if Braden Point comes back, it changes the entire game. Because not only is he a great center in terms of the faceoff dot, not only is he an incredible playmaker, but he also can play some good defense. He's good at playing defense. He does it all. He's a very good two-way forward, and he's a great center, like I said, in the faceoff dot. It doesn't mean that they can't keep up with him. That's not at all the point. But to give Tampa more firepower, more ability to play, is not what you need. And that's why I want to see something from Colorado, because Colorado needs to show me something on the road, because I at least have seen something from Tampa on the road at this point. That's the biggest thing.
So we saw something from a certain Golden State team on the road. They went and won Game 6, and they are NBA champs. So let's talk let's talk about this this Golden State team. Let's talk about the NBA Finals, and let's talk about how annoying Draymond Green is, and he can't shut his mouth after he won the Finals, averaging less than 10 points.
But you know what? And John, real quick, you proved my point though, right? Why was I confident in the Warriors? Not only did I think they were the better team, they showed me something on the road. They showed me that even though they lost at home, because the Celtics showed me something on the road, the Warriors showed me something on the road, and I felt they were the better team. They won, and they deserved to win. Steph Curry, your MVP. I like it. I don't like it. Yes. I love it. I am elated. And I'm going to ask a question. And a lot of people have debated this. With this win, where do you put Steph Curry in your rankings of all-time players? Because he was up there already. I know he was in a lot of people's lists as one of the greatest of all time, but he wins a 4th title. He has as many as LeBron at this point. His finals record is better than LeBron. Not that is everything, but I'm just saying, as a whole, it is better than LeBron's now. And I'm not asking you to put above him, but I'm just asking, where do you rank Steph Curry on your all-time list? I know it's a tough question, but he's got to be up there as one of the greatest of all time.
Outside the top 10. Just outside the top 10.
Okay.
Somewhere between 10 and 15.
Yeah, I think you got to go there. I mean, it's hard to put him anywhere closer.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard some debates, and I'm not on either side particularly. I'm just, I'm not asking because I'm on one side or the other, but I've heard some debates between Kobe versus Steph.
It's not even close. He doesn't come close to Kobe Bryant.
Okay, because a lot of people say Kobe doesn't even belong. Some people are saying Kobe is a little bit overrated because no, they say it because now that he's passed away, we view him in a different light. He was always a great top player, no doubt, but now everybody's like, he's got to be in your top 10 because he's passed away.
No, I'm not saying I always had Kobe Bryant.
Right.
I'm not a prisoner of the moment guy. I mean, I'm a guy that I'm going to rate them based on what I think. I already had my mind made up of what I thought of where Kobe was at, before he passed away. Like, you know what I mean? He was already retired, so it wasn't like he was going to play any more basketball and change things.
This is true.
So, you know what I mean? It wasn't like he was trying to get more rings. I had Kobe in my top 10, and I still do. I don't think Curry – I said this last night on the Sports Arena. I said, I love Steph Curry. I love what he's done for the game. He's the greatest shooter we've ever seen. But he's not a true point guard. He doesn't distribute the ball like a point guard. He doesn't play great defense. He plays pretty decent defense.
Right.
Like, there's nothing about Curry that puts him – above LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Wilt Chamberlain or guys like that.
Right.
That I'm not saying Steph is just a scorer.
Of course.
That would be wrong. But
that's what he's
I just don't think he does enough. You know what I mean? Like when you look at LeBron James, you can say like this guy does everything. When you look at Kobe Bryant, this guy does everything. When you look at Michael Jordan, this guy does everything. Like I don't say that about Steph. He does a lot of great things.
So
but I don't. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't come close for me.
But before you talk about his defense, if you look back, now this I know from Daily Fantasy because I would play Daily Fantasy ridiculous.
Of course you do.
So Steph and the Golden State Warriors front court and back court, their guards, unbelievable defense. You would never think, that their defense was that good. They shut down point guards and shooting guards. It was insane. They were always ranked towards the bottom 10 year after year. So before you go on Steph's D, got to rethink that one. He's very underrated. He doesn't get a lot of credit for things he does. He's not flashy. Everyone always thinks, Steph could just shoot. He does a lot more than that.
Steph takes shots he knows he can make. That's the one thing I've noticed about him.
And
he doesn't just throw it up.
And their teams, the reason why they would, shut down teams, they would just get out to huge leads and destroy them. And, there was no way to game prep. They can't stop it. If you double team him, Clay would take over. Then they got Durant and it became ridiculous. Then Durant left and, other guys stepped up. And Draymond is just the annoying vocal leader.
We'll talk about him in a minute.
But it's a very good team concept. And Mark Jackson definitely set up that team for success. Steve Kerr, like he did with the Bulls, stepped up and took all the success that he doesn't deserve.
I do have one other question I want to throw to you too, because I'm sure you've heard this before. Steph's legacy to some people, I don't know that tainted is the right word, but they felt no. You'll understand what I mean. They felt like, he won one ring without KD, but then he won two with KD. So how much do those championships weigh? And I'm not saying that's what you ever thought. I'm just saying this is public spaces and, in the sports world, I know I've heard it plenty of times. People are like, Steph only won those championships because he had KD and, and what they mean is because he had KD on top of the team he already had. With this win, and not that you feel that you were ever but do you think it helps move him away from that legacy that some people have painted for him that KD was the reason those teams won, and that no, Steph Clay, and as much as we may not like him, Draymond are the reason that they won most of those championships. And they are the core guys, and they deserve a lot of the credit.
What did KD do without Steph? So there's my answer to that.
Yeah.
KD hasn't won anything without Steph. Steph won prior to KD, and after KD went on to his next super team, which is what, 0, because that's my team, the Brooklyn Nets. They are the most disappointing team in the world. So, I'm not going to knock Steph. He doesn't decide who signs with the team.
Of course.
He just goes out there and plays his game. I have nothing wrong with that. LeBron brought in Anthony Davis. That was going to be his savior. That's the way the
Anthony
NBA
Davis,
is right
do
now.
you mean Glass Joe?
Exactly. So we're not. We can't take anything away from Steph for that.
Also, Steph was incredibly unselfish when KD came. He let KD be the number one guy on the team, and he was incredibly unselfish. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like when LeBron came to the Heat, Wade was incredibly unselfish, letting LeBron, you know what I mean, take over the team and be the number one guy. Like, that's a lot of you got to put your pride aside to let somebody else do that on your team. Steph did that for the Warriors because he is a team player. He's all about the team. It's always been that way. I love that. That's why he's a guy that can go and win championships. Part of the reason is he's incredibly unselfish. KD is not that guy. He's complete opposite, in my opinion.
I think it speaks volumes about Steph. I agree.
So, I mean, and none of this is a knock against Steph. Like, if you put him in the top 5 or you put him in the top 15, it's not a knock on him. There's so many amazing players, Magic Johnson, Kobe, LeBron, MJ. Like, there's so many great players around that area that it's like.
And that's just the modern era. I mean, there's still other guys you got to look.
If you put Steph 12 or 6, does it really matter? Because all them players are, like, absolutely amazing, that are up there. So it's not a knock on Steph. Like, it's really – Ray Lynn said this last night. It's really apples to oranges when you make that point because – all those spots are some amazing spots, and those are some absolutely fantastic players. Yeah. So it's no knock because, I mean, LeBron and MJ and Kobe are just freaking awesome.
Right.
And guys like that, yeah.
You're not going wrong with any of them because of just how incredible they were. I agree.
It's just what your opinion is, basically. Yeah. It's just your opinion.
And I mean, and you're only talking about modern guys. You're not talking, go back a little further, Dr. J, who was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And then go back even further to Wilt, Kareem. I mean, so – how does one make a list like that and really be objective? And I think it's tough.
I think one thing that you can say is that Steph is the second best player probably of this generation, and I say that because I put Kobe as the past generation, not this one. He's the generation right before LeBron. So I'm saying LeBron and Steph. It's fair to group them in the same generation, even though they started at different times, but they've been playing a lot of years along. Of course,
you're going to put LeBron above, right?
But I wanted to clarify that I'm saying Kobe is just the generation before,
right?
Like just based on when he started. So he's probably what I would say the second best player of this generation, obviously behind LeBron, and is one of the greatest players of all time, no doubt. When you talk about Steph, he's done it all, and that's the thing. He has all the hardware he could possibly want. Between championships, MVPs, he's a great teammate. He's a great leader. He's got the all-time three-point record because he's a great shooter. He's a solid defender. He can play the defense. But again, are you solid as opposed to a great or an incredible? Because he's not the same on that side of the ball. But he does it all. And I think the thing that it's an intangible. It's things like LeBron, guys like Kobe. They all did it when they're on the court. They make all their teammates play better simply because they're on the court, and teams have to watch them, so they allow their teams to be able to win. That's something that Steph will always have. And I think that truly Steph and Clay may be one of the best shooting tandems we have ever seen.
I think they're the best. I think they're
they
the
may
best
be.
And shooting tandem we've ever seen.
I
also
it's possible. I don't want to say yes for sure because
what shooting, like what pair of guards?
My point is, I was just going to say,
would you ever put above?
There's a very good chance we're forgetting somebody that we say, oh well, maybe let's compare them. I never safe definitively, but I agree with exactly what you're saying. Like, they are so incredible together.
Unbelievable.
Shout out to Lindsay Endzone. He's part of the Sideline Sports Network.
Yes, not a Lindsay Tart, but Lindsay Endzone.
They do the LinkedIn podcast, so we want to make sure.
If you're an Eagles fan, like Eric, go watch them.
Him and James Tatum.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to make sure I shout that out.
Yes.
But I also wanted to go back to your other point about Steph Curry winning before KD, winning during KD, and winning after KD. I don't think it changes anything in my mind, because I always thought that.
I agree.
I've seen Steph Curry do so many amazing things. It's like, if this guy won 0 championships, I would still think the same thing I think of him. I would still think the same thing, because what he's done, he doesn't have to have, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, he doesn't have to have championships to justify his spot as one of the greatest players of all time.
Look at Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing is one of the greatest basketball players, especially of his generation.
But what I'm saying with Curry is night in and night out, this guy does something before games. He does stuff that's like amazing.
I've seen it.
Stuff we've never seen before.
Listen.
Like, he doesn't have to have these championships, but the championships help. That's nice.
Of course.
But I just think it shuts up the naysayers and the doubters.
Which they're always going to be.
Whenever he wins after KD, then it's like, okay, here you go. Shut your
proof
mouth.
That the man could win no matter what.
Sorry, JB.
He really is that.
No, I mean, listen, if you don't respect Steph Curry as one of the greatest basketball players, you got issues. You're not watching the same game I'm watching.
I agree.
Listen, I don't like LeBron. I'll sit here and tell you he's the best that I've seen in this generation, hands down.
Right.
You don't have to like somebody to respect what they could do.
Yeah, I mean, if you ignore it, that's just lazy analysis.
You're just choosing to ignore.
Yeah, that's just lazy analysis, or you're just a hater or something. I don't know, but yeah.
All
right, I want to start a new segment real quick. I want to start the Around Sideline Sports segment, because a lot of people watch us on DBTV, and they don't realize all the other great shows we have.
Well, JB, hold on. What's this DBTV you speak of? Because I know DB&A television. What's this DBTV?
So DB&A TV has been rebranded DBTV. So make sure you go to dbtv.tv and check out all the great shows. But I want to talk about Sideline Sports and some of the great shows we have. John's on Sports Arena. I got Confidential. We got Oh What a Show. But let's start with, the Geary and Stein show, which broke amazing news this week. John, what news did Troy and Will break?
Well, they broke the Trey Waynes retiring news. It was actually picked up by Ian Rappaport. It was picked up by all these major news outlets.
NFL.com.
NFL.com. Yeah. All of them were playing it on, and I think it was on NFL Total Access.
It was everywhere.
Live.
You name it.
It was everywhere.
And now,
picked up, and they got their recognition.
In case anybody doesn't realize how hard that is, all of our shows, unless you're watching live, and Will and Troy don't actually do their show live just yet, it was taped. So they were sitting on this news for a couple of days.
Like a Friday or a Thursday?
Yeah, they taped it on, I think, Friday, and it dropped on Monday. So I want to give them big props for that, and congratulations.
Yeah.
So let's start with them. Now let's go to, the LinkedIn podcast, which, as a Giant fan, I give you guys credit. I give you guys credit for talking about junk for an hour a week. It's hard to find stuff to talk about when you're covering such a bad team.
Yeah, whenever I talk about trash, I like to go out to the trash man and just chat with him when he's taking my trash away in the morning, Tuesday mornings. I like to talk to him for an hour. I'm just messing. I have no problem with the Eagles. I just like to play off of whatever your analogy is.
James Tatum and Lindy do a phenomenal job week after week talking about the end zone, the Eagles, which I give them credit. I don't know why anyone want to talk about them.
It's painful, but good for them.
Then before us every Tuesday. So, if you watch it right now, start watching our network at 7:30. You got 3 chicks in a pod. The only all-female show on Sideline Sports with Megan, Carrie, and Jen.
Very proud
phenomenal.
to have that.
I mean, we could keep going. I mean, there's so much good stuff. If you're not subscribed to,
what other new sports network has a show like that? Like, do you see ESPN with their own podcast where it's all women talking about what our three women talk about? No, you don't see networks like that bringing you content like that. Nope. That's Sideline Sports.
You see,
those three women bring you fantastic content every single week at 7:30.
And hey, you know, I'll leave it with this. You know, just because they bring you sports, you know, updates and their perspective, you know, they bring on other people from the Sideline Network. I mean, today alone, Jordan Long, who was you know, messaging or writing comments in the chat talking about his abs, he was on the show today. He was on. He was on today. I know he was.
And speaking of Jordan Long, I got to give him big props. Him and Jay for picking up the slack for me the last couple of weeks while I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Jay playing JB's goatee and Jordan hosting Confidential. I mean, you know, how great is it that when you can't be available to do a show, you have top flight talent to step in, and it's like you're not even missed. So I better make sure I'm okay, and I'm here 52 weeks a year because, you know, we'll get somebody else in here in a second.
We may have to replace you.
Good. It's pretty good.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Denzel Snipes, you know him as Denzel Snipes. He's typically, you'll see that name.
Jay, you know him as a bunch of things.
But but he was really amazing in JB's absence and filling in for a lot of shows. And we have so many great people in this network. Like I've said before, I said last night, it's not just about me or you three. We just have so many great people that do great things, that put in the hard work behind the scenes that you don't see. And I just want to shout out our team. We just have so many great people, and they just do a phenomenal job. So I just want to make sure I shout them out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, one of the things I love, you know, is I'll be just relaxing, doing whatever, working on stuff behind the scenes, and I'll see that, you know, we're live. It's like we're live all the time. There's breaking things happen. Yesterday when Troy and Will, you know, when their show came out, news was coming from all over the place. They were getting all sorts of props for attention, you know, different notifications. I'm very proud of the work that they put in to get that done. You know, and then, you know, the sports arena last night, which was phenomenal. We got us tonight. We got the Pundit, who has his show weekly. Basket Bros, if you like old-time basketball, if you like me, and, you know, you missed the 90s when the Knicks were relevant and they used to play some good, tough basketball that actually would foul guys, and, you know, they wouldn't be calling when you get killed.
Or you wouldn't see a guy, like, get close to getting elbowed and he throws his body and acts like he's playing soccer.
Oh, don't even talk about that. It makes me it makes me sick how weak these players are.
And then the refs buy it.
I know. John, I could go like this.
And you're
just
like,
do that.
Whoa.
And oh no, I'm flying away. It's like, no. It's such baloney. I mean, I'd rather say something else, but we're family friendly.
We're going to use baloney.
It's baloney. It's just so stupid what, you know, how they do things. But that's a whole nother can of worms for another time. Real quick, the Gary and Stein, we were talking about Troy and Will. Gary and Stein's sports show. Look them up, watch the interview, or rather listen to the interview, because I listened to it actually on Sunday. I was coming home. As I said, John, you know, I called John in the car. He was telling me all the stuff. I said, all right, I'm going to go listen to it. Listen to it. It was a great interview. Absolutely phenomenal. It was really cool. You know, just enjoyable to listen to. And I'm not just saying that because they're part of our network and or do great things, you know, in regards to
us.
That stuff. They truly are great.
We're honest, you know, about our own teams. You know, we're all honest about our own teams. We're honest people. Straightforward.
And I will warn people now. It is rated M for mature. Trey does not hold back. He's a little bit of a sailor himself, I guess.
And a hunter.
And he speaks like a sailor at least. And yes, he is a hunter. So be advised. But the interview itself is phenomenal. Troy and Will do a great job. And obviously getting the inside scoop on the retirement or the at least the intent that he's most likely going to retire, which is more or less what he's saying is, you know, I'm in my head, I'm done. despite, he has not officially retired. Chances are he's retiring. And they got the inside scoop, and I'm very proud of them. So, all right, gentlemen, we are running out of time. Any last thoughts before we, go around the horn, do our little sign off here?
It's that time of the year where the sports world is crickets chirping, baseball.
It's slowing down a little bit.
You're not a baseball fan. Good luck, because it's going to be a long couple of months till we get back to football. So start watching the Yankees.
We got
start watching Confidential.
No, until training camp. Like, what are you?
He makes a good point.
Training camp is fun. You get the rookies report. I'm excited about the rookies. I mean, if you saw the Orioles before the Orioles-Nationals game tonight, all the rookies from the Commanders and the Ravens were in the press box beside each other.
That's cool.
All in Orioles and Nationals jerseys, which was a pretty cool picture. So, there's always something fun to sports.
You know what? Make sure you're watching What a Show, because come the middle of July when the Cubs destroy them in Wrigley, they're gonna be crying. But follow me, JB_ the program. Got Confidential 11, South Florida Tribune on Wednesday nights, right here, the NBA Carousel on Monday. What about you, John?
Yeah, Blue Hawks 13 on Twitter, Jon Shearer on LinkedIn. Make sure you look me up. Connected with a lot of great athletes, former athletes, just a great people. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel. If you're not already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sideline Sports Network, and make sure you check out all of our shows Sunday through Saturday. We have shows every single day of the week. So I just want to give love to all of our people.
Jake?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. You can look me up on all my socials. That's my same name. But more importantly, as I do every single week, here's where you can find Sideline Sports. Instagram and Twitter is Sideline Sport 1. YouTube and Facebook is Sideline Sports. We have a group, we have a page. We have it all on Facebook. We are on DBTV. No longer DBNA Television.
DBTV.tv.
Yep, that is the website. It is
DBTV.tv.
DBTV. See how easy it is? Nice and easy and smooth. DBTV, formerly known as DBNA, so now it's DBTV. And the website is dbtv.tv. We're on TikTok. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere you can find us. Look us up, search us up, check us out. Like I always say, come here for the best sports news that you're ever going to get.
And lastly, before we go, big up to the new crop of interns who are killing it right now.
Absolutely.
Glad to have you guys on board.
All right. And on that note, everybody, have a good one, and we will see you next time.